Good, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Citizen A, where we wrap the week's current affairs with the best political team on television from a very Auckland perspective. Warning, we're as fair and balanced as Fox News. Joining me tonight on a revolving panel of bloggers and Auckland opinion shapers. He runs the best independent news site in New Zealand, constantly holding the powerful to account in a way we can only dream dsklnz would. He's known as the thinking woman's bit of crumpet, editor of scoop.co.nz, the ever-brilliant Selwyn Manning. And he is to rational debate what drinking is to driving. He can charm the pants back onto a prostitute. Tax redistribution is like kryptonite to him. The unsuppressible Darth Vader of the right-wing blogosphere, Cameron Slater, a.k.a. Whale Oil. Welcome to you both. Coming up tonight, issue 1, Sarah Palin says WikiLeaks should be pursued like Al-Qaeda. Does the public have a right to know what is being done in their name, or is Julian Assange really Osama bin Laden without the beard? And what do the leaks really tell us about the world? Issue 2, John Key holds a digital interview on Stuff and releases policy for the 2011 election on Betty bashing and state asset sales. Why does it seem that Facebook is suddenly the preferred vehicle for policy release now? And why is Don Brash attacking John Key by claiming Mary still get too much? Issue 3 tonight, why does the Minister of Transport, Stephen Joyce, hate rail so badly? Was he attacked by Thomas the Tank Engine as a child? And we'll end the show on a final word, but let's kick things off with issue 1. Who would have thought the greatest release of secret information since the 7,000-page Pentagon Papers report by Daniel Ellsberg in the 1970s would be leaked to WikiLeaks on a Lady Gaga CD? What do the 2,800,000 documents tell us about the world we actually live in, and what should be done with Julian Assange? Selwyn, if the role of the media is to hold the powerful to account, shouldn't we, the people, have a right to know what is being done in our names by these governments?
Yeah, what I see is a clear indication of exactly why the public needs to know some information. For example, if the general public, particularly the American public, was aware of the justifications that were being advanced that would allow the United States to invade Iraq, if the public knew that that was bogus, if the public back then knew that the information was bogus, it would have had an effect on that administration's ability to invade. So clearly there is classified information that is in the public, national and international interest to be out there. There is some information from a media perspective that should be held back.
Right. Cam, you are a convicted criminal, a political prisoner, if you will, when it comes to publishing things the court says you can't. Do you consider the soldier who released this information to WikiLeaks, Bradley Manning, to be a hero like yourself?
Well, Bradley Manning, in releasing some of the documents he released to WikiLeaks, actually put some soldiers at risk. You don't do that to your mates.
Didn't you put some people at risk though by identifying? You didn't.
Well, I put some, you know, kiddie fiddlers and some rapists at risk of getting the bash.
Well, apparently Bradley Manning put some war criminals at risk of the bash, didn't they?
You know, the thing is here about WikiLeaks and Julian Assange is that Julian Assange is very clearly an anarchist. I don't have a problem with that. I believe in the disinfectant of sunshine.
Yes, you do.
Sunlight is the best disinfectant.
That's what you've always said.
I've always said that, and it would be hypocritical of me to go back on that.
It would be.
What I'd like to see, though, is WikiLeaks to show a little bit more, I don't know, balance, and show us some other things that are being leaked to them. Are they only releasing, the things they want to release?
Well, if you're looking at what could come, it would be classified intelligence information as opposed to diplomatic, and also perhaps unleashing all the information that some of the dodgy international banks have.
But I think going after corporate America is going to be brilliant. I mean, that'll probably get him killed more than releasing boring things about who's done what in which country and that. The diplomatic stuff, I don't think. It's very yawn-inducing what's come out so far.
Is he a hero like you? Is Bradley Manning a hero like you?
Bradley Manning? Not too sure if he's brave.
He's brave?
Not sure if he's a hero. He's a scapegoat.
Cam was a scapegoat.
He did kind of bring it on yourself, didn't you? But is Julian Assange a hero like you?
Julian Assange is an anarchist and he's trying to cause as much havoc as possible.
So a bit like you?
A little bit, you know. He has a complete disdain for politicians.
Which you do.
Well,
Yeah,
and
that's
you,
right.
so
Yeah,
and you.
exactly. Yeah, but you're the one who went to prison for your beliefs.
Well,
So,
I haven't been to prison yet.
Well,
I tried very hard. I tried very hard.
Selwyn, is the warrant by Interpol against Julian and the cyber attack on WikiLeaks evidence of a counter-strike against him? Because that bullshit about his rape conviction, that sounds a bit dodgy, doesn't it?
Well, it does sound dodgy in the sense that we see precedents for this too. Scott Ritter, for example, who was a weapons inspector in Iraq prior to the invasion.
It's a bit lame, isn't it?
Came back with information that suggested there were no weapons of mass destruction. Next thing, he is actually on charges, child pornography type of charges, talking to kids on the internet, not that type of thing. Now, whether or not he actually did that, and of course there was a second wave of claims and case against him too, whether or not he did it, or whether or not they are always aware that Ritter had that kind of tendency is something perhaps that they always held over him. But with Assange, the timing's pretty... I mean, it would be very interesting to see exactly what the Swedes have got, isn't it? But to me, the whole thing, Bomber, this latest leak, diplomatic cables, is interesting in that, like other intelligence kind of analysis kind of organisations are observing the same too, in the sense that we are seeing a new cycle of control here that was sparked off yesterday. The State Department in the United States began to compartmentalise its information away from classified networks within the wider Bush administration, Obama administration. We're seeing now, we're seeing now more efforts today for a compartmentalisation of information. The intelligence organisations, for example, CIA and the FBI, post 9/11, began to share information to make sure that nothing was falling through the cracks. We are seeing a return to compartmentalisation now.
Cam, is Sarah Palin right to claim Julian should be hunted down like Al-Qaeda?
It's just a bit ridiculous, isn't it?
It's an incredible statement, isn't it?
It's unbelievable, but well, it defies belief that someone could make such a statement. But
still run for the
message.
I think the US has
though,
always got to have a bogeyman, though. Perhaps Osama bin Laden has passed his use by
so
now Julian Assange is the new man.
Maybe he's dead. But
it's very hard to miss.
I think the important thing here, and it sends a message to politicians like Fig Jam Power, is that you can't keep secrets in the modern world. Secrets can't be kept.
Absolutely, it's a new age.
So why bother keeping the secrets in the first place, right? Because, and we've got it in Auckland now, we've got a mayor elected on transparency and he's trying to keep secrets. And the secrets are coming out.
I think there's always been an argument that we know the internet was born within the military apparatus. And I think what we can see is probably an argument where the military apparatus will have a web number B, or phase B, where it's under the radar. There isn't the interconnection perhaps in the internet
was
as
developed
it's obviously
to
flawed from their point of view.
Flow of information.
If you're inside their shoes, they must be worried sick that they've created themselves a monster that they can't control anymore.
And
so
Simon
let's
Power
recreate
thinks he can control it.
Yes, we know about your attempts to try and slander him. Here's questions to you both. What is to be made of the revelation that almost all the crypto-fascist Middle Eastern CIA client states want to invade Iran? That's pretty fascinating, isn't it?
Well, it is. That's obviously a regional geopolitical kind of advantage that you've got to remember Saudi predominantly is Sunni.
Yes.
And we all know that the Shia Persians represented in Iraq are the enemy.
They always have
so
been
there's no surprises there. You can't just look at Middle East, Arab as one kind of sector. There are different, obviously, interpretations that.
And I don't think they like the little short-bearded weirdo that's running the place either. I mean, he certainly hasn't got his marbles all together, has he?
I think one of the most interesting things that has come out relating to perhaps the nasty elements of all of these diplomatic cables are things like the instructions to diplomatic staff inside Africa to get fingerprints of the leaders, to get retina scans done. You know, we're starting to get some real nitty-gritty stuff there. The diplomatic wing, we're calling it diplo spying now, which is a whole new term.
Well, I like how it's revealed that in the whole Iraq-Iran thing, you've got the Israelis, who are supposedly the arch enemy of the world. Certainly Bomber subscribes to that point of view. Are the ones saying, whoa, hey, we don't want to be going there because, we'll be attacked and it's all going to come.
The Israelis are driving it. They're driving the
and
invasion.
it's the Saudis and
Driving
the
it as well.
UAE who are saying, nah, get in there and hook them out.
Well, no, the Israelis are pushing for it, but isn't there going to be a problem
But
for,
they do
on
smarter
the
things.
South? Isn't it a problem on the Saudi?
They do smarter things, the Israelis. They go and put Stuxnet into the computer. That's just brilliant,
isn't it a problem, though, for those Middle Eastern countries, the Muslim on the street, who is now hearing suddenly that their government is siding with Israel to want to invade Iran? Isn't that the issue for those governments domestically?
Well, absolutely for those governments, because they have operated on keeping the person in the street fed with lies and propaganda about the evil Israel, and yet their governments are colluding with them.
Yes.
And supposedly, we shouldn't be dealing with these people. We should be wiping them from the face of the earth, which is kind of what the Iranians want.
Next question. Could China calling North Korea a spoilt child spook the paranoid Kim Jong-il into further aggression with the South? How's that?
Well, knowing the paranoia of the North, I would imagine that they would see it as American spin.
And,
okay.
And,
so that's
and hunger. The thing is that, well, no, the North's starving.
Yeah, they are.
It's working. It's doing a bang-up job, and they're just escalating slowly, antagonism.
Yeah.
But the thing
in
is
seriousness, Bomber, what we can see is the North is in a transition here. Its leadership is in transition. Every time we see a totalitarian state in a mode of transition, there are problems internally. We saw it under Gorbachev, for example, in his reforms. So there was a transition of reform going on there, and you saw clashes between the hard-nosed military types and those who were advocating some sort of transitional change. In the North, it's as read that there will be those kind of tensions in display, and perhaps that's what's in behind the recent military strike.
Moving on, both of you, how embarrassing is the revelation that America was offering presidential visits to countries who took in Guantanamo Bay prisoners? Come on. Come on.
Well,
I mean, poor old Slovenia, for Christ's sakes. Wasn't that? I mean, that was shocking, isn't it?
What, taking Guantanamo Bay prisoners?
Presidential visits to get rid of one of them.
But I mean, surely people would want a presidential visit for a presidential visit, not just to take prisoners from Guantanamo Bay. I mean, God,
doesn't that show how bankrupt, ethically and morally, the American foreign policy is?
I think America's the lead political body in the globe, so there's going to be some pretty awful muck underneath the lid.
That's the thing.
We know every government has its secrets. One of the amazing things that came out of this whole thing was John Key in his naivety actually revealing that our diplomatic wing, like every other country in the world, actually sends information and intelligence back to its mothership. That kind of thing. When we, as a media,
I mean, we knew it anyway, didn't we?
Paul Buchanan mentioned that may be a practice in 2003, and he received complaints from the Prime Minister, from everybody else. And when we have suggested the same thing, we've had complaints coming. Here we have a Prime Minister actually saying what we were saying about 4 years ago.
Isn't it great we've got a Prime Minister that's actually open and more honest than we had in 2003?
Let's celebrate. Let's vote him in again. I love it.
Who was the Prime Minister in 2003 complaining?
Okay, here's another question. Well, talking about that then, why do we allow the Waihope spy base to operate in New Zealand? Now we know America is spying on us. Why?
The Chinese are spying on us too.
Well, yeah, we shouldn't let them have a spy base in New Zealand either, should we?
Well, they have. It's called the Chinese Embassy.
But should we allow the Waihope spy base now that we know that the Americans are actually spying on us?
Well, we get benefits from it.
Put it around the other. Why do they need Waihope down here? Why can't they do it with their closest ally in the region, Australia? Why does it need to be
Well, they've
here?
got one in Australia as well.
Yeah, they've got one in Australia as well.
Yeah, but why do they need Waihope?
Isn't it to do with the orbits, the satellite orbits?
It's a matter of coverage and listening in on the satellites.
The reality is, irrespective of what government comes into New Zealand, we are going to be a part of that Western Alliance spy network.
We always will be.
Yep.
We will be, and we're in that privilege. New Zealand governments do not want to lose.
Yeah, not being in it. How's that? Okay.